Welcome to the Mindset by Design podcast with your host, the expert Andy Murphy, where you will learn the tips, tricks, and strategies he teaches his world-class clients to give you the skills to dominate any business.
What's going on, Mindset by Design crew, and welcome to episode 237. Hope you're awesome as always. I really do. Do you know what? Today's episode, can you hear that in the background? It's honking, right? And there's some construction. I had to do this episode today. Look, I'm jumping into it already, and we'll come back around. But it's all about noise and how noise is affecting human beings massively, and the benefits of silence. And do you know what? Living where I live, there's quite a bit of noise sometimes. Yeah, we got rainforest pretty close by, which is nice. That gives us the peace. But do you know what? Noise. So if you're in a noisy place, this is an episode for you. And first of all, I want to give a little shout out to a guy I've just connected to, Aaron Civi. If you're listening to this, dude, what's up? It's funny how things work. Well, yes, everything's about science on this podcast for sure, but we also got a little bit of the universe going on, and this is credible. Someone posted a picture of an old school NLP book on Facebook, right? And a guy called Quinton Carlin. What up, Quinton? He's kicking ass over in Southeast Asia right now. Doing coaching for like Uber and things like that in Singapore. But he posted a link and said, do you know what? We just had one of the top guys in the world, Andy Murphy, on my podcast. Check it out. And then this other gentleman, Aaron Civi, went, dude, that's crazy. That's crazy that Andy's commenting on this post because... And then he messaged me. And this is a pretty amazing story. And for you people who don't believe in synchronicity of things or alignment or frequency, I don't know what's going on, right? But we need to take we need to pay attention to this because he gives it, do you know what, Andy? I've got a story to tell you. It's crazy. I was going to say insane, but it's crazy to hear from you today. Because 1 year ago today, me and my girl were going through a lot of crap in the business. That's the entrepreneurial world, right? Highs and lows and ups and downs. That's the world. And they were going through a bit of a low. And they were in Russia, and they were going to go to a temple and refresh in the waters and, really connect with themselves. Beautiful thing, right? And on the way, while they were driving there, guess whose podcast they found? Yeah, this one, right? So they were listening to that, they loved it, and then they went and sorted themselves out, and their business has exploded over the past 12 months. And then he gives it, Andy, do you know where we're driving today? Think about it. They were driving to the exact same place in the exact same country. The day that he posted that, I commented, and Aaron then connected with me. That's not random. I don't believe in the universe, and we talk about the universe in a mathematical aspect, but we talk about there isn't such thing as synchronicity. Every single thing is divinely timed, if you want to call it that, or mathematically correct. Meaning that, do you know that every river in the world runs to an exact mathematical equation? Right? You heard of the Fibonacci sequence or phi or pi? Right. These sequences run through everything in nature. There's a mathematical formula for everything. So look at that whole experience with Civi then. Is that not crazy? It's crazy, right? A year before, to that day, they were going to a place that they'd not been before. They listened to my podcast. 12 months later, I connect with them on the same day that they're driving. I don't know. That's insane, right? I'm going to use that word now, insane. But then we go, well, is it really? Because I don't know about you, but we can't predict the future. But what we can do is, isn't it interesting when you look back through the past and you see all the dots that lined you up to where you are today? And you know what? There's a statement I always say, and I've said it for a long, long time. I've never made it up. I pulled it out of the ether, or I pulled it out of my butt. I haven't got a clue, man. But we get what we're ready to receive. I'll say it again. We get what we're ready to receive. The heck does that mean, Andy? Think about that. Think about all the businesses that didn't work for you, or the opportunities, or the people let you down. If you rewind the clock and you look back on the past now, doesn't it make sense? If, like, I know back in the day when I was putting together, the resort in Fiji, man, if that had have all happened and I had have owned multiple resorts, well, I wouldn't be talking to you right now. I wouldn't have helped tens of thousands of people, personally myself. I wouldn't have helped, like, the podcast wouldn't have been downloaded well over 1 million times. So that's affected so many different people's lives. I wouldn't have been doing this. I'd have been sitting there building, resorts, right? Earning money. Probably killed myself partying back in the day, or something stupid, right? Or drove a car off a cliff. Right? I wasn't ready for that level of financial success. And the truth is, it wasn't my path, right? Because I didn't ever I enjoyed putting projects together, but I didn't really enjoy selling, although I was the best at it in 2 countries back in the day. And you know what? Everything happens for a reason. I really do believe that. So if you're going through a lot of crap right now, then guess what? Well, we've all been there. We've all been there. It was funny. A couple of years ago, I had a development company let me down. They put me in a bit of a situation. And I brought in a mentor, as always bring in a mentor. And guess what? I said the situation to him. He went, oh, yeah, we've all been there. And this is a guy who's worth like tens of millions of dollars, And he was like, yeah, we've all been there. What next? And that's it. Life moves on, right? It's only us that hold on to the past. And when we start to understand that, and the past leads you up to where you are now, and the future will lead you to where you're ready to receive, what you're ready to receive. So if that's in alignment with you and you're driving things forwards and it's feeling good and you're about helping and serving, making loads of money and buying shiny things too, you're allowed that stuff. We're human, man. Then guess what? It's going to happen. But it probably won't happen in the time frame that you think. It might happen a lot longer. It might happen a lot faster. It depends on what we're ready to receive. And I've had some awesome feedback from the previous episode. Jeff Bezos? And what was the title of it? Did you listen to it? I hope you listened to it. Because is intuition a form of intelligence? I wanted to really discuss that. I put clips from Jeff Bezos in there, and I formulated a complete theory. So I'd love to know your feedback. And review. Find me on Facebook in the Facebook group. Send me an email. Whatever you want to do. But I'd love to know your feedback. Because to me, intuition is how I've lived in 7 different countries. It's how I've done multiple businesses. It's also, when I don't listen to it, it's the thing that gets me into crap. And it's also the thing that gets me the success and moving forwards. And so listen to that episode if you haven't. I think you'll really like it. So if this is the first time that you listen to this podcast, hey, I don't always go on crazy rants at the start. I do go on some rants, but not always straight away. But if this is the first time, then welcome. What we're here on about at Mindset by Design is about building new behaviors, new ways of thinking, feeling, and acting using the conscious, unconscious mind, neuroscience, neuro-linguistic programming, which I'm a world-class expert at, neuro-retraining, which are all my advanced systems, gamification, behavioral psychology, anything that creates change, and also anything that creates change in world-class performance inside of your business. That's the key thing. I really believe that entrepreneurs are the people that are going to change the world. And I've been helping an older generation, a more mature, sophisticated, wise. I've been helping people out for 17 years. And I'm really on a mission to help everybody, including the new generation that's coming through. Because, again, I'll go into it another time about the issues that I see with the new generation coming through and the brilliance that they are. They really are brilliant, and they've got all of this knowledge at their fingertips. But often, they see the shiny object or the outcome, and they think the outcome is very simple to get to, but they're not realizing there's a journey to get there. It's because everyone's showing them through social media all of these, the wealth, the success, but they're not showing the journey. And the truth is, business is a hell of an intense journey. And you've got to have a strong mind, an unbreakable mind, and it's got to be dialed in like a high-performance vehicle. And that's what I do. So if that makes sense to you, then I take on a couple of clients a month. I do. One or two, and we change the whole business. We change the whole life. We upgrade them mentally into a way that they didn't even know they could perform like in their business. And that's what I've done for tens of thousands of clients, some of the best in the world. Check the testimonials out. And a lot of people sometimes can get intimidated by that, right? Because I talk about all these like people running $400 million businesses, royalty, I've put together this, done this. And the truth is, you just don't know who the right fit is. I just want to help anybody with a passion and anybody who's building their own business, especially online. If they're building a business online, that's my thing, because we all want the same thing. We just want freedom. That's it. We just want freedom. And if you're building any type of business online, could be Amazon, could be trading, could be sales, could be coaching, could be consulting, could be Shopify, it could be funnels, it could ad agencies, it could be something I haven't even mentioned there. But if you're building that and you know that there's resistance, then we need to chat. Or the opposite, you're kicking ass and you want to make sure that you can expand or scale or make your strong mind stronger, then we need to have a chat. Because I really believe that entrepreneurs are the people that are going to change the world. They're going to evolve. They're going to be creative. They're the ones that are going to solve problems, man, that other people are going through. And if that's you, man, let's chat, man. Let's do this. Let's get you sorted and let's get whatever you're building out into the world so we can help people. Sound good? Good. Hit the show notes. I've also got loads of other links in there. You can join me on Facebook, hit me on Instagram, hit me up on LinkedIn. You can also join me on the Facebook group, right? You've got Incubator group there with 3,000 people in it. What else we got? We've got amazing free exclusive training that you can go through. Go through it, right? If you go through any of this, you go through the training. It's connected to something which I call the 8-figure thinker. Now, remember, the 8-figure thinker is just a concept. Could be called the 44-figure thinker or the 2-figure thinker. It's just about infinite thinking, right? So maybe not the 2-figure thinker, right? But you get what I'm saying. I've got the world-class audio there. It's usually $45. It's $7. And guess what it does? Well, it programs your brain every single day to be what? A world-class performer. Go and check all the links out. We even got a business brain assessment in there to find out exactly where your brain is set to right now. There's so many links, so many things I try to help you with. But first of all, you gotta help yourself. So hit those show notes up, and I'm excited to connect with you. So, today's episode, I'm excited about it. It comes from a specific article, and again, like everything I do, it's all backed by stuff, right? So, this article is really, really cool. I'll give the guy a shout out, and I'm going to put my own spin on it as usual, right? I put my own flavor on it, and I really think if you are in a city or you are around just maybe construction or whatever it is, this is an episode that really might make you think. So, should we get on with it? Let's get on with it. I'll see you at the end of the show. So crew, here we are. Let me tell you a quick story. I remember being in New York. I was presenting in New York, and it was cool. I had a lot of fun. I love New York. We got to hang out with a good buddy of mine, Nick Onken. We went to private parties. We saw even Alicia Keys there, I was presenting. I was training 600 entrepreneurs for the day. It was epic. And then a couple of weeks later, I was still in New York, and I hired out this is quite cool thinking back, man. I hired out the nightclub of the W Hotel overlooking the New York skyline, and for a private event. And we took about 10 different entrepreneurs all through 2.5 days with me to really work on their performance. That was really cool. I should do that again. It was really cool. And it was funny because I was there about 6 weeks, and we were staying in Hoboken. And I love New York. It's really cool people. And I got to Florida, and it was shocking. And what do I mean by shocking? Shocking, not saying Florida's not shocking. I love Florida. Florida's amazing beaches, all the rest of it. Although California gives it a bit of abuse, it teases it a lot. But I got back, and the frequency or energy or the feeling, whatever the hell you want to call it, man, right? The feeling is so radically different that I remember sitting there, and it was like, I don't know, it's like my head was ringing. You know what I mean? It was like bang. And I got to Florida, and it was like my body released. And it was like it went back into homeostasis. It went to calmness. I breathed. And I remember just feeling the sun on my skin and just looking at the beach, the ocean. And it was I'm pausing and hesitating because it was a profound thing. It was profound. And I started to really think about that. I started to really think, was staying there really affecting me? And affecting me physically, I don't know. Affecting me mentally, I don't know. While you're there, you're amped up, you're raring to go. But I started to look into these all these different studies. I don't have this study in front of me, but it's crazy. They always do these studies to poor rats, right? I love rats. I had a pet rat as a kid. It was one of my favorite pets ever. Poor rats. But anyway, what they made was different environments. And one of the environments was they had lots of space. There was only a few rats. There was ample food, everything like that. And what they found was, it was quite profound. What they found was the rats were very social. They were very kind. They literally shared food. If there wasn't enough, they actually saved it for the other rats. And they were kind to each other. They groomed each other. It was very peaceful and calm. And then what they did was, in these different environments, is they obviously did what? Yeah, put more rats in there. And you know what they found? They found the rats were turning into New Yorkers. No offense to New Yorkers, I love you. But yeah, they were aggressive. They started fighting. They instead of literally saving or sharing the food, they would hoard the food. They would, everything completely changed. Why? Because even rats aren't supposed to be on top of each other, right? So think about this as human beings. Think about this as your environment. Think about this, how you're living your life, because the environment is such an important role in our own happiness, our own growth, and our own evolution. And we could talk about external and internal anchoring and how this is creating trigger points in the brain, but the truth is, as human beings, we have a certain genetic makeup that is truly ancient. We're talking hundreds of thousands of years old, and we come from such small tribes. There's something called Dunbar's number. None of this is in the study I'm reading in a minute, but this is just out my head. But Dunbar's number. Dunbar's numbers are up to about 150 people in a tribe. And what happens then is the genetic makeup, well, you can't really start to recognize or remember details or people outside of that 150 people. That's the studies. That's Dunbar's number. So when we were in tribes like that, everyone knew each other, everyone looked after each other. That's like a small village, right? Or a hamlet. And that's such a radical difference to how the world is now. And think about that in a bigger context. Not just where we're living. I wouldn't want to live in a little town with 150 people. I'd freak out, right? But think about this with social media. We are constantly connected and watching thousands and thousands and thousands of other people's lives or glimpses of their lives, right? That's a whole different conversation. But when you start to understand that our genetic makeup is only designed for X amount of people, then we have to start looking at what is the consequences of going against our genes. Now, this is also epigenetics, so this code is being passed on through generations. So it's not like we're evolving past this, although I suppose we have to at some point, right? The genetic expression has to change because that's what genes do. They replicate, but they evolve. They adapt as human beings do. We adapt. That's how we've survived for so long. So what I love about this study by, well, it's not a study, it's the article by Joe Martino. So Google that guy. Obviously, the study is not by him, it's by neuroscientists, but it's a good little article. So I want to go into that today because the first thing that needs to be looked at, because studies have shown that excess environmental noise not only decreases one's quality of life, but also their cognitive function. Okay, think about that, right? What am I all about as a mentor? Yeah, performance. Cognitive function, plain and simple, because that's how you create results. So what's even more interesting to me in cities where people do create results, I don't know if they're making the highest performing decisions that they truly can. The reason I say this is the way the brain chemicals work, we're getting flooded with cortisone, and cortisone creates brain fog, and brain fog is not clarity of thinking. And if we're coming under stress from the environment, which is like the rats, right? If we're coming from stress because of the environment, then it means our nervous system is stressed. Is this making sense? So if our nervous system is stressed, how do you make decisions when you're stressed? Right? How are you doing making decisions when you've got so much pressure and you're not feeling good and you got brain fog and you get the idea? So again, I'm just pondering all of these questions. I'm pondering these possibilities. Why? Because I want to help people, plain and simple. So when we start looking at that through this lens, through this perspective, through this mindset, doesn't it already make you think about how you're living, right? Doesn't it make you think? It does for me. I want to go and live in a hammock in the rainforest right now after reading this. So let's look at the world through the average person, right? And average doesn't mean bad, it just means normal before you get a little offended or something. But think about this, right? So the average person wakes up to an alarm, right? Guess what? The alarm sounds, then that's the first thing that's happening to someone in the morning. Their alarm's ringing, so it already puts their nervous system into sympathetic, right? But that's a different conversation. But it also, that's not a good way to wake up, right? So there's noise straight away. Then most people are in a rush, right? They're in a rush. They're in a rush because they got to beat the traffic, or they're in a rush, so they're not eating properly. They're not being calm in the morning. They're not setting their day up. Probably not got routines. Probably not meditating. Probably not calming themselves down. So they're already amped up, and there's noise straight away. And then guess what? The drive to work, I don't know about you. Well, personally, I haven't done it in a long time. I'm quite lucky, right? That became one of my non-negotiables. I am not doing a drive to work, and I'm not also allowing anybody to be in control of my income stream or to tell me what to do, right? And that's the life of an entrepreneur. Anyway. So guess what? You're dealing with people, customers, co-workers, cars, trucks, planes, lawnmowers, construction, phone calls. And that lasts for what? Like for the whole day, 8, 10, 12 hours. You're in constant noise from other people's lives and just what's going on, right? So what do you think that does to you? Yeah, it sends our bodies into stress. Think about this, right? It decreases our quality of life and potentially reduces our lifespan. Did you know that? Yeah, because you're in constant stress. You're producing constant stress hormones. And what happens when you see, well, they've done all the studies on bottle rats again, right? When something's under constant stress, you see what it does to the nervous system. And you know what it's like. I know what it's like for me. I've been through a nervous breakdown. You don't look healthy, right? You don't. And if you're under constant pressure, it means you aren't even hungry. It means you get the idea, right? Here's an interesting point. Do you know where the word noise comes from? Do you know? Well, it comes from a Latin word. Would you have a little think? Where do you think it comes from? The word noise. Latin words. Nausea. Yeah. Or the word noxia. But guess what? Nausea. Noise equals nausea. What's nausea? Sick. How crazy is that? So when you start to understand that, then we've really got to start looking at, can you hear the noise in my background? This is why I'm so passionate about this. There's banging and this and that. Hey, but I love where I live. But again, we have to look after ourselves and we have to we have to be aware of this so we can counteract it. Because I'm going to go into that in a little bit with the study. So listen. As the construction's going, don't know if you can hear that either. So the World Health Organization examined and quantified its health burden based on a European study that involved 340 million people. 340 million people, okay, living in the Western Europe. It found that the residents were losing about 1 million years off their lives due to noise every year. That's crazy stat, right? That's like 1 in every 3 people losing an entire year of their life just due to noise. Crazy, right? So a study published in 2011 in Psychological Science examined the effects of Munich's airports and had what the effect they had on children's health and cognition. Now, Professor Gary W. Evans of Cornell University noted that the children who were exposed to noise developed a stress response that caused them to ignore the noise. Right? Think about that. Right? So if you're like, I live in an environment, I'm all right. But our brain starts to get used to the noise and ignores it. Again, why? Because genetically we want to adapt. Neurologically we want to adapt. That's neuroplasticity. We want to evolve and adapt. So it gets even more crazy because these children not only ignored harmful noises, but also regular stimuli that were important to pay attention to, like speech. So they're not paying attention. So how do you think that affects their education? How do you think that affects their social skills? Because they're not even paying attention because the brain is starting to adapt to the noise and shutting things off, which means they're not present. Does that make sense? Have you got kids like that living in a city? Maybe, right? So what we look at is the cities are a new thing in our world, in our civilization anyway. Now, if we're talking about history, there's supposed to be like 5 civilizations that have been before of human beings, but it simply depends on what you believe. And I don't believe anything. I'm just open to everything, right? But if you think about this, then human beings genetically, we've not adapted to this level of people. So it just blows my mind how this can be affecting life. It can be affecting our happiness, but it's also be affecting the direction of business. And that's what I'm concerned about. The direction that the decision-making processes, I should say, around from stress isn't going to be in alignment with the best for the planet, the best for human society, the best for the longevity. No, it's not. It's going to be fear-based, which means it's all about accumulation, right? Not about collective growth. It's about accumulation because it's coming from a fear response. Does that make sense? Fear response, Andy? Yeah, because you're coming from a stress. So very interesting. And then what does what? This affects your health. It does. It affects high blood pressure, heart disease, tinnitus in your ears, and definitely loss of sleep. And man, the studies around loss of sleep, hear the beeping? Hear the beeping, see? The studies around loss of sleep is in itself about mental performance is crazy. Joe Rogan had a UK neuroscientist sleep expert on. Google that, man. You're going to be getting your 7 to 9 hours is the optimum for performance. But when people drop down to like 6 hours, and it's shocking, he said. He showed you all the stats in the episode, but it's shocking. So anyway, side note, go and check it out. And of course, it's going to affect, harmful hormones. It's going to literally blast your brain chemicals, and it's just not good for you. But the human body is an incredible thing. It is. It's an incredible thing. You cut yourself, what does your skin do? It heals, right? And that's what your body wants to do. It wants to always go back to homeostasis. Homeostasis meaning balance, right? Harmony. And just like when I came back to Florida and I was standing looking at the ocean, I felt that shift. It was like it took about 48 hours for me to calm down, or my nervous system to reset. And then I started thinking differently. I started thinking calmly. I wasn't as reactive. And that was me just being in New York for like a couple of months. So I don't know, right? But what I'm trying to say is the next bit of this is that the benefits of silence. And this is why I think meditation is really taken off. It's because what it does is it calms your mind. It calms your nervous system, okay? So if it's doing that, what is it doing? Yeah, it's taking away the noise. And if it's taken away the noise, then guess what we are? Yeah, we're in silence. And I really starting to think that is one of the key elements of why meditation works so well in modern day society. Now, meditation is amazing. I do it every day. But it is only part one of creating performance. It really is. We have to then program on our brain once we're dropped into a different brainwave frequency. Again, conversations for another time, things I work with clients about. But what's interesting is a study observed the effects of noise, music, and silence on the brain. Get that? Noise, music, and silence on the brain. The study was published in the journal Heart and found that the 2 minutes pauses randomly placed between the relaxing music and the study were far more relaxing for the brain than the relaxing music itself. Do you get that? So when people are listening to relaxing music, it's actually the pauses in between it of the silence that created the effects and the calmness on the brain and the person rather than the actual calm music, which is fascinating. And then to add to that, the longer the silence, the more benefits experienced by the participants. Again, the longer the silence, the more benefits experienced. Surprise, surprise, hey? Surprise, surprise. So the longer the silence, the more benefits. Okay, so the study author, El Bonido, found that his irrelevant blank pauses were the most important aspects of the study. Silence heightened by contrast. So you might be out there now going, holy shit. I mean, chaos over here. There's noise, construction, the kids are screaming. What can I do? No wonder I'm stressed out. Well, that's the truth, right? No wonder you're stressed out. So the cool thing is, like I said before, the brain wants to regenerate. It wants to go back to that homeostasis, right? It wants to be balanced. It wants to be calm. It wants to heal, just like that wound, right? That cut. So according to the attention restoration theory, the brain's finite cognitive resources can begin restoring when you are in an environment with lower levels of sensory input. In silence, the brain essentially lets down its sensory guard and restores somewhat of has been lost through the excess of noise. Is this making sense? Good. For me, next weekend, 100%, I'm going to the rainforest. I'm going to spend a day there, a night there, or something there. I need to get to that rainforest. Even maybe this week, I don't know. But it's just a profound thing when we start to think about it. And if you're like, Andy, man, I've got not even 30 minutes to myself a day. Okay, then take 2, right? But even that meditation or whatever it is, just you getting away, going for a walk in nature, okay? Trying to clear that brain or connecting deeply with yourself or, just you being present stops the noise in your brain. So if that's the case, you've got to go for a longer shower and instead of thinking things, just breathe. Then guess what? You're going to get the benefits. The longer the silence, the more the benefits, okay? So I challenge you to really take action on this. I challenge you to let me know. I challenge you to, maybe something we should do. But the truth is, I really believe this is a huge problem in the world. I really do. And again, from my own, which I've told you the story about 10 times now, from me going to Florida after being in a constant crazy city, I know the effects it had on me. So I'm lucky I could bounce to a rainforest within 30 minutes. So I don't know what you can do, but you got to do something. And you might be going, Andy, man, I live in fields. There's no one around for miles. Then all right, that's badass. Are you taking advantage of it? Are you using that silence? Are you using that stillness? Are you going to there intentionally to be present? I don't know. So you might be going, this is all great, Andy, but how the hell does this make me more money? Well, it's about decision making. And like I've explained, when we're in an excited, happy, confident, vibrant state, the decisions that we're making are very clear. We're connected to something which I teach in the 8-Figure Thinker. I teach with my clients. I show how to do this. And it doesn't matter what level you're doing. You could be getting an idea going. You could be absolutely doing $10 million, a year. It makes no difference. You could be starting off or you could be deep in. The point is, the neurology affects your biology. Okay, the environment affects your nervous system. We make decisions depending on the emotion that's dominant inside of us. Understand this. The emotion that is dominant inside us, we think about the future, money, the past, success, motivation, drive, our beliefs about everything, including ourselves, are affected by the emotion that is dominantly blasting through us. It's truth. It's true. And anyone that tells you it's not, I'd like to have a chat, right? Because I have a very different opinion. And it comes from life experience. It comes from nervous breakdowns. It comes from living in cities. It comes from helping tens of thousands of people. It comes from studies and learning things like this. So I want you, yes, you, to go out there and do something different today. Look at what's affecting you, okay? So, you like that? Good. And that leads us to the end of episode 237. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got some benefits. Please, please, please go and share it with someone. Go and share the podcast. Write me a review. All of these things help me massively, and it helps other people find the podcast. And guess what? It helps them in life. And that's my whole mission. And my whole mission is to help you. So whatever level of business you're doing or whatever's going on, if you've got any resistance, overwhelm, anxiety, stress, or you just don't know the next direction and you know you need a mentor, let's have a chat. Okay, if you're kicking ass right now and you need to strengthen your mind or gain a different perspective or have scalability or continue this world-class performance, let's have a chat. Doesn't matter what you're doing or any industry, all I care about is you're passionate, you want it, and together we can go and create monster change in your life, the world, the business, and your income. If that sounds like you, hit those show notes up, apply, and like I said, only take on 1 or 2 people a month. But if that's you, if you're lucky enough, I promise you one thing: I will change your whole damn life. Fact. So much love, and until the next time, you have an amazing week. And oh yeah, one more thing, why don't you smile for me?
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode of the Mindset by Design podcast with your host and NLP expert, Andy Murphy. We'll catch you next time.